Welcome to Moving the Needle, the podcast packed with digital marketing strategies crafted exclusively for med spas. If you're looking to draw in more patients, grow your revenue, and level up your business, you're in the right place. This show is your inside track to scaling smarter. Get ready to glow up and get your injection of med spa marketing strategies with your host, Chris Fink.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Moving the Needle, the podcast written show where we help med spa owners and aesthetics leaders grow their businesses with clarity, confidence, and strategy. Today I'm really excited to introduce our guest, Anastasiya Huk. She's the founder and lead artist of Brows and Faces in New York City, and it's a luxury studio known for precision artistry, natural facial aesthetics, and a really clean and refined beauty brand. Anastasiya has been working in Brows and Faces, and she's built really a boutique experience that blends artistry, advanced cosmetic techniques and products, and an intuitive understanding of facial balance. So her work stands out immediately. It's meticulous, elegant, and rooted in natural enhancement. So at her practice, she does offer a full suite of services, including brow shaping and design, microblading, powder brows and lamination, tinting, lifts, skincare services, and skincare products. So what makes her practice special is the way she integrates the precision and symmetry and design into those transformations, and how she collaborates for her brand growth with photographers, models, influencers to elevate that brand and share her artistry with a wider audience. She also invests heavily in continued education and international workshops, which is a big part of, I think, why her work remains at a really high and consistent level. Her brand voice is sophisticated, confident, and artistic, and she brings all of that into her client experience. So with that, let's dive into the conversation on Moving the Needle.
Thank you so much, Chris, for all the kind words.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
And thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I'm sure it's going to be a very, very interesting conversation.
Yeah, well, it'll be very relaxed, but I have so many questions, and you've really made clear strides, but I'd love to start with your brand. You really have built like a boutique feel that's premium, a boutique premium feel in the practice. And what do you think are the fundamentals that med spas can often overlook when they're trying to position themselves as a luxury provider?
I think one of the most important, it will be the location of your office. And we got very lucky with the building where we're located because it's a historical landmark. It's a family-owned building. Besides the different other businesses that we have in there, it's also a residential building at the same time. And location is really great because it's next to Russian Tea Room. Across the street, we have a Park Hyatt Hotel. And also what I think help us be in search on Google and all the other platform, it's the fact that we have a lot of hotels next to us. And those hotels don't have spas. Most of them have only hair salons. Okay. So, of course, it was our job to go there and introduce ourselves. And now it's kind of paying back because besides that, we do get employees of those hotels who comes and get services with us. We also get a lot of referrals from guests who stays there.
Yeah, that's great. And so location, right?
Like especially in New York City, especially where we're located, location plays a lot. And obviously an approach. It's all about client. It's never about you. From the moment while they're trying to book an appointment, wherever it is a text message or they're scheduling online or they're reaching out during, with the call, it's all about building the connection and really hear what they're looking for. Because we have clients from like 14 years old till like 80s.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important because everybody wants to be heard. And when people feel like you can solve some of the issues they're looking to be solved, they will come in and it will become your loyal client.
Yeah, and
So it's
retention is so important for that first
beside
impression.
besides the you have to provide a great service, which is obvious, and they have to see the results.
Yeah,
It's also, the approach and how people looking to be treated.
yeah. So that's so true. How do you balance? Like you're the face of your brand. You're building processes for trying to scale the practice, and you're in there working with the patients and performing treatments. How do you balance all of that?
Well, I don't even have the answer for this question. Um, I think I really love what I do. And I think it's not even a motivation. It just like, it's my drive. I want to participate in every single, like, whatever comes to business, whatever is marketing, payroll, social media, uh, where service. I feel like I want to be involved in every process, even when we're gonna grow and if we get a bigger space and if the team is gonna get bigger, I still want to participate
Yeah.
in every single step from the moment clients walk in to the moment they leave. I think it's very, very important for every business owner to understand, even when you get very successful and you have a great team, you always have to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets to be a challenge as you start scaling because the volume can be overwhelming. But you were talking a little bit about client experience and retention, and so what elements do you think, like you mentioned, like from the moment that they call and the moment they engage, like that you have to get that experience that's going to impact those repeat bookings. What elements do you think of the in practice experience make the biggest impact on repeat bookings?
On repeat bookings, so obviously, probably the most first impression is the most important.
Okay.
The way you look, the way your place look, and what kind of service and what kind of treatment you provide.
Sure.
If you want someone to come back and become your loyal client, first of all, you also have to educate people, especially when it comes to skincare, that it's not a one-time thing, that it's something that you have to do consistent. I very often give to my people an example, same as your exercise and your body and your diet. You have to do the same with your skin. It's something that needs to be taken care of like 24/7 and you never stop. And you have to educate people, you have to give them the options. And every time when someone comes in for the first session, I always say, the bottom line is that we do a deep pore cleansing facial right now, and I never see you again. But everybody has more concerns than deep pore cleansing. It's puffiness, it's wrinkles, it's sun damage, it's pigmentation, it's post-acne scars, breakouts, melasma, whatever it is. It's something that needs consistency, and that's where it comes, skincare, retail. You have to make sure that people using and doing something at home what needs to be done. And you always check on them, you checking on their progress, you reaching out, you always in touch with them, and that's what makes them become loyal.
Yeah. And client loyalty in a market, especially a saturated market, like where you're at in your location, like clients have tons of options, right? So getting real uh, loyalty. And I think that there's probably a lot of like really subtle luxury cues for clients, in terms of design, communication, like you were talking about there, and how you're sharing that and following up, and the service itself. And if you were going to think just generically, like for other med spa practices out there, what do you think some of those cues should be that a med spa should implement in order to elevate perception and increase retention?
Repeat the question one more time. I have to think about it.
Yeah, just what kind of luxury cues inside the practice in design or communication or service should any med spa implement immediately just to elevate that perception and increase retention of those patients?
Well, 100% follow-ups. And as I said earlier, you have to educate people. People want to be educated. Unfortunately, what I had to deal before I started my own practice and I was a patient, not a lot of practitioners want to share what actually works. I don't know the reason why does it work like this, but most of the times people wanna hide some sort of information that people actually wants to know since you're a practitioner. And maybe this is the mistake what other businesses make. They're trying to sell more and make the client become loyal and come back and get more procedures. But in the end of the day, when people don't see that you honest and you do it from your heart, people feel it.
Yes.
And I think it's very, very important to be honest and actually understand the concern, because sometimes people might come in, she will say, I have certain concerns, but you're gonna look at her and you have to explain that everything is fine and you don't have to do anything. You already look great. And if you're gonna go more intense and add more procedures, it's actually gonna make you look worse.
Right.
This is another case that actually happens very often. So I think for you as a provider and a professional who wants to have a trust and loyalty, it's you have to be honest and you have to treat your patient as your family, or at least as your very, very close friend.
Yeah. Trust is so important. That is one thing that people will tend to continue to do business with you if they like, listen, and believe you. But when some of those things fall off, it's really tough to keep that retention rate high and your churn goes up.
Yeah.
Shifting from like the acquisition part and the retention parts, actually back to acquisition, you have a really polished social presence. For your marketing, when it comes to how you strategize creating content, what do you think a med spa should be looking at first? Should they be looking towards better quality visuals or more consistent posting schedules, and why?
This is a very hard topic for me because social media takes a lot of work and a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And before I started my own business, I wasn't the person who was consistently sharing my personal life or, posting every day and sharing with people where I'm going and what do I get done. And when I opened up my own business, I realized it's necessary. And I think you cannot have one without another one. You have to have a visual, you have to have a content plan. It has to be, some moments when people can laugh, they can look at some video and they're like, oh, it's like one day or in the past, it did happen to me. I recognize myself in this video. Another video is going to be when you educating your clients, before and after, some of the live content, what you get done out of the office, out the procedure that you already do on yourself, where else you go. But what comes to social media, you cannot have one without another one. So it's definitely all together. It does work. Does it take a lot of energy? It does.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, nowadays, you cannot run a business without having a social media.
Yeah, and it feels like now in 2025 and 2026, they want to know that relationship. They want to understand that relationship and see you and like you before they ever reach out to schedule an appointment. They want to have that feeling. And you can't get that from reading, some certain articles, but they can get that by watching your treatment videos or, seeing the before and afters on social. And you have great content out there. What is the process that you use for creating content that feels premium and also aligned with your brand?
Well, as I said, visual. I'm always on social media looking what other people do. And it's nice to be creative and try to do something on your own, but unfortunately you get very overwhelmed by doing everything at the same time as a business owner, especially. So, not gonna lie, sometimes it's copy paste.
Sure.
But obviously, it is some live content. What people want to see, the results, before and afters, some of the, advices you might give to the patients. They want to hear your voice. They want to understand what kind of person you are. And I think when people like you as a person, it's, as you said, I'm totally percent agree. It's increasing your chances of booking dramatically. Because if someone like the way you look, especially in beauty industry, it comes, to skin, to brows, if they're not gonna like the way you look, they're not gonna come in.
Right.
And you know what I get often, even when I do someone's brows, oh, I like your brows, can you do the same brows on me? But you also, again, you have to explain that it's anatomy and it may look a little different on you, but I will try. But
Right.
a lot of people, like when they come in, they're like, what are you looking for? And they go, I want to look like you. I want to have the same skin as you do. And that's where you start, educating them that it didn't happen in one day. It's a lot of years of work. I often share my pictures, how did my skin look in the past, because it's actually was the reason why I end up in skincare in New York.
Okay.
Because when I just moved to the States, I figured out that it's quite expensive, especially when you do get skin issues like acne.
Yep.
And in order to be treated and go somewhere and get the right treatment with the right provider who understands what you need and what needs to be done, it's cost money. And unfortunately, it was, a lot of times when I went somewhere and I just waste my money because somebody was trying to upsell me. I wasn't educated enough. I didn't know myself what I need. So yeah, it's definitely everything works together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of med spas, they really struggle to stand out online because there's just so much to it. And like you said, there's so many going on. When you're looking and you're comparing those other and doing your research, what are some of the visual or messaging mistakes that you see most often that you would counsel another med spa to avoid?
Um, well, it's gonna be, in order to create a nice content, it's cost money. So you have to have a certain budget invested if you wanna make it look good, if you wanna boost it, if you want more people to see, especially when you just starting up. If you have a small amount of people who follows you, it takes a lot of time and patience. But I think visual part, even if you're not gonna create a reel or a video, but you're gonna post a nice quality before and after picture, I think it's gonna work better than you're gonna be taking a 20-minute video of you talking without having a mic on or with the wrong lighting.
Yeah.
It's definitely the visual, the quality of the content, and if you're taking it more advanced, obviously the way you edit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift a little bit into pricing and demand creation. When you were setting up your services, how did you structure your pricing strategy while building the brand?
Well, originally, when I started my career in skincare, I always knew that I want to be more on a high end skincare side instead of, like, I don't want to call it average day spas, but I always knew that retail and skincare products, that's where the business makes money.
Yeah,
I have to say it because services, it's a lot of expenses on services. And
sure.
having a nice skincare for the retail, that's how most of the businesses make the profit and income. And I didn't want to have a very high price point for services because, as I said, I wanna like the concept was I wanted to make sure that it's affordable, but it's also worth it, and it does make changes and impact in someone's life, and literally when literally everyone can come in. from 14-year-old till 80-year-old. And the way how we build it, we have a standard facial, which includes like basic double cleansing, exfoliation, extractions, basic face mask. This is your bottom line, and from there you can do add-on like skin tightening, glycolic acid application, radio frequency, oxygen infusion. So we have a standard price for everybody. If someone willing to take it more advanced, it is room to get more add-on and actually extend the time of the treatment. I think it's also very, very important because a lot of people, they don't feel the worth of the add-on as soon as they're not spending more time on the table during the treatment. And I think it's very, very important to explain when people do pay extra, they get more out of the service. They have to realize the difference from the basic and from the add-on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And if you were coaching another practice right now and thinking about if there was a practice that was thinking about introducing new services, maybe services that have a machine or have consumables that need to be done, what's the biggest mistake that you would caution them to avoid when thinking about whether to introduce a new service?
Don't buy a lot of different machines at the same time. Really, really take your time on choosing one at the time, because this is actually what I'm dealing with right now. I'm looking to get some of the new treatments, new devices, or get some of the treatments on a more advanced level without increasing the price. But I'm really it's actually going on for like last 3 or 4 months already, because I'm really picking and choosing what to add. And I've been seeing a lot from also like my friends who used to run businesses that they want to get everything at the same time. Like radio frequency, oxygen, they get like 5 machines at the same time. And people have 5 different options. They don't know what to get, because, it's also, besides that you have to bring it to the office, you also have to sell it. And if you have a certain clients, who comes in all the time, they see something new on the menu. Some of them gonna be interested from the first session to try it, and it's gonna be their average monthly protocol. Some people, it's gonna take their time. They're gonna think about it 4 or 5 facials, meaning 6 months. After 7 months, they're gonna start adding it to their regimen. So I think it's very, very important to choose just one at the time. Obviously, make sure that it works for almost everybody, for almost skin type. It's probably also going to be something that, nobody didn't tell me in the past when I started. And obviously, make sure it's a good device, because people now, it's so easy to do the research. You have to make sure it's something that actually works.
Yes. Yeah. And, when you get those devices or when you introduce new treatments, one of the common things that a practice will think about is how to generate enough demand to make that treatment, fulfill its cost, right? And so what are some of the tactics, what's worked best for you when it comes to generating sustainable demand, but without having to rely heavily on discounts and coupons and, promotions?
We actually don't run any discounts. We tried promotions few times, but honestly, we didn't see a lot of the difference. We tried the packages also. I'm not a big believer in promotions or discounts. I think the best way to make people want it is to explain the benefit, and maybe, give them like a trial session. Don't give them full 15 minutes of skin tightening. Give them 5. Make them feel it first. Because a lot of people, especially in the medical spas, wherever something new comes out, a lot of my clients, they actually concerned about, is it painful? And, they don't want to try it, even if you say it's relaxing, it's warm, it's just ultrasonic gel, and it feels like a massage, you're going to fall asleep. Some people still very concerned. So what I usually do, I was like, let me just give you a trial session, 5-7 minutes. If you like it, we do a full treatment next time. But discounts and especially free sessions, I don't think it works. At
Right.
least in my business, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to shift a little bit into operations just for a moment. And I was wondering, what do you think, as you've grown and you've scaled and your patient base is growing, what is one of the hardest operational shifts you've had to make as you're growing? And what would you tell another med spa owner that was facing the same transition?
I think building the team.
Yeah.
I think people. Not even, patience. You will get the patience. I know when you just starting up, it's very hard to get patience. But when you have a certain client base and you're trying to grow, this is what I'm struggling right now. It's to actually hire a team who is gonna share your vision, who is gonna be good at what you do, and people are gonna love the person.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it is a difference between luxury high-end approach and average approach. Even in the department stores, there is a big difference when you go to Saks Fifth Avenue or Sephora. You're gonna have a different customer service.
Sure.
And as I said earlier, we're really, really focusing on personal client approach. We're trying to please and welcome everybody. So I think as of right now, for me, it's gonna be the most complicated part. It's to get people together who's gonna be, loyal. They're gonna be good, responsible, and get along with clients.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great advice. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you and I were talking a little bit before the show. You're somebody who, invests pretty heavily in your education, ongoing education. What trends do you think are coming in the next, say, 1 to 2 years that any med spa or aesthetics practice should be preparing for?
Trends. Well, you know what I always say. I think whatever we estheticians could do on the low level, it's already on the market. It's just being upgraded every couple months. So like all the secrets are already out. We know about peptides, we know about enzymes, collagen intake, da 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 da. It's already there. Trends just switching around. Same with the machines. Even if like the simple example will be a hydrofacial machine. Before hydrofacial, we just had simple microdermabrasion machine. How the hydrofacial been created? They added some liquids, they made it fancy, and they added multiple machines with their solutions. It's actually a great marketing. I love hydrofacial, I love the machine, I love the company, but it's a great marketing strategy because businesses do purchase the machine. They have consistently refilled the product as well,
Right.
so they become a consistent client of the hydrofacial company. But I think what comes to trends, well, nobody wants to get old. It's always gonna be one trend, anti-aging. Some people, it's actually a lot of people in United States who still don't trust invasive procedures. And a lot of before I opened my own business, a lot of people told me, Anastasia, you should go to the medical school because in a couple of years it's gonna be dead and nobody is gonna come in for facials. And my only response was, you people don't understand that invasive, it's something that's happening inside under your skin, and
Right.
skin is the skin. Botox would never fix the issues on the level of the epidermis. Only estheticians could do. So I think the trend will be just to stay young as possible, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be a new, products or machines. I'm sure it will be, but if it's gonna be a new technology, especially for esthetician, what we will be able to perform, I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna be some updates on the
Sure.
whatever is already existing on the market.
Okay. Yeah, and to your point, like client awareness and sophistication has evolved so much, and there's so much information available now that somebody that's wanting to look into anti-aging, they can get so much information just with a little bit of research.
Yeah.
So I think med spas now and practices have continued to evolve and adjust their communications or their communication style in response to those informed people. 30 years ago, people would go out shopping, they weren't informed. Now people go out and they're researching, and they're often better informed before they reach out. And they know, maybe 50% of what they need to know, 10% of misinformation that we need to get out of their head, things that Dr. GPT told them that was
Yeah.
not quite right. So now, for your attraction, like you had mentioned earlier, working with some influencers, micro influencers, models, when engaging with those type of people to help grow your brand audience and your brand voice and generate your marketing, are there any tips that you would offer that you learned the hard way that somebody should know or avoid?
Yes. Always sign a content form with the influencer what needs to be posted after they get a free service. Because it did happen to me millions of times, even with people who I used to know, and they're having some audience on the social media. They're coming in, you are my friend, please post 5 stories, do the reel.
Yeah.
1 month later, you don't see any signs, on their social media that they did receive the treatment. So always, keep it safe for you, sign the paperwork, something very light and, polite, but protect yourself and your time, because it's time for you, it's a waste of product, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's great advice. So yeah, let's go up into like a quick little wrap up round. I was curious if I could just kind of throw a couple things your way and see, like, if there was one piece of advice that you could give a med spa for improving the first visit experience, what would that be?
First time experience. You know what we usually do for the first timers? We usually always book a little bit extra time for this patient. We usually leave 15 or 20 minutes extra to have a simple human being conversation before you get start the treatment or a full consultation. So before someone comes in, we're always trying to have a small talk, asking where they're coming from, if they live nearby or they visiting. So, and it also gives you like guidance where to take this client, because you're not gonna, I don't want to call it a waste of time, but you're not gonna probably, trying to sell the package or, recommend them something a long term, especially if they don't stay nearby. You're gonna find a quick solution that's gonna make them happy. So it's always nice to have a little bit extra time for this very, very first visit to
Yeah,
actually get to know the person and where they're coming from.
that is a great strategy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great strategy. What's the strategy that you think any practice could use that would instantly elevate their brand's perception?
Well, you know, usually I don't want to call it a luxury approach. I just think it should be everywhere. Like simple care if they're comfortable with you. Most of the times when you work in this field, month by month, you start reading and understand people better. And you kind of can tell and see with what kind of mood and energy they're coming in.
Yeah.
If it's someone who doesn't want to have a conversation, they want to fall asleep or they want to relax, or they're gonna work during the session on their phone. It's also a very, very common thing that happens with us. I think on this, as I'm gonna repeat myself, as I said earlier, it's understand client and why they're here,
Yeah.
because a lot of times people come in not for a treatment,
Right.
especially if we go back to building loyalty. A lot of the times your loyal client gonna come back not for the service, they're gonna come back for you.
Right.
And it's very, very important to understand that.
I agree entirely. It makes me think of my barber. I go see him,
Yeah.
and we have the best conversations, like
Mhm.
life, deep, personal relations, like all of those things. And I get more than a haircut and my beard trimmed up when I go talk to him.
Yeah,
I walk away
100%.
feeling like I had a really great conversation and growth. Um, let's see what. How about okay? Just to tie this up, what is one investment that you've made, either in practice, service, strategy, operations? What's one investment that you think has delivered the highest ROI for you and your practice growth?
Biggest investment, it's probably being able to give this extra 15 minutes in my schedule to their people, because none of the advertisement or social media gonna work better than a word of mouth.
Yeah.
I have a client, she comes in every 2 weeks. Like she booked her sessions till end of 2026. She is so busy, it's like someone who has a lot of power. She is super busy. She knows her schedule 5 years in advance. This client, she during 2025, she brought to my business probably 20-25 people,
Wow.
only because I was able to work with her. And just to highlight, she's not the one who is very easygoing. You have to tolerate her. But
Sure.
I think those type of people who are difficult to deal with, by the end of the day, they always gonna be your best client.
Right.
That's what happens with me very, very often. And yeah, probably the biggest investment is actually to give more attention to someone who needs it.
Invest your time.
Invest, yeah. And being able to give them extra while educate them or give them small gift or samples, and like wishing them happy birthdays, having something cool going on over the holidays, even like simple decorations. It's also it's all about, you have to always give them something new, I feel like, because people get tired with getting same procedure and same experience every single time they come in.
Yeah.
You have to be able to entertain them as well,
Right.
because for them it's an experience. We have people, they come in just for us from like different states. They travel and they come in from Hamptons, from Long Island, and they come to the city only to see us. So for them, it's a day. And I actually had this conversation with my partner. I said, Denise, imagine for us, we usually take like 5-7 people during the day. And I said, for us, it's just like one by one. They're all the same. We're doing the same protocol, pretty much, and same approach to everyone. But for every single customer, it's, it's the whole day.
Yeah.
It's something they've been excited, for the last like 5 weeks since
Right.
they scheduled the session. And for them, it's like probably best 60 minutes of their day. So I was like, you always have to make sure it's special and, they get what they want.
I love that energy.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, Anastasia, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your process and your perspective with our audience. Now, to everyone listening, make sure to check out Anastasia and her Instagram. I'll put the link in the show notes. It's at Brows and Faces, and connect online. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been Moving the Needle, where we help med spa owners attract, convert, retain, and scale patients with smarter marketing and better business strategies. We'll see you in the next episode. Anastasia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye, all.